Dear friends, I'm happy to introduce you Laura Spinadel, architect, urban planner, writer, educator, and principal of the company's BUSarchitektur and BOA office, Austria. Laura, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. I love when people with so many point of views come together to think about a topic. In our case, I will say we're a little bit different because we're coming from the practice, and after 30 years building, doing, thinking, projects for people for a better future, I decided that the most important thing are not the project. The most important thing are the alliances that we can build to create this future. That means that this role to bring people together, to bring ideas together, to bring interests together is the most important thing to try to give each of us a new position in the game. The game could be only to make a training about how our future in the city could be. This was our project in the Biennale in Venezia, where the training was for teachers to understand how young people can use public space. If you go step on, you can ask for support, and support means, for example, when the city of Vienna think about how to change the paradigm about mobility in politics and in the society, they call us to develop with them new communication strategies, because to change how to live in the city is a process. But we can go step on and say we need integral consulting to resolve our problem. This was the example of the Danube coast at Krems, where the sport and leisure director asked us to help them to change the consensus of all the city to see the river as a big chance for a new future. And this process was very interesting because it was very easy to start with a little group of politicians and administration people to go on with stakeholders that define topics at the city, and to end the process thinking about the future with all the community to develop the new paradigm and the vision for the next 30 years. And then they can begin working together. This working together, this cooperation, where each people from the beginning put something in the process as additional value, was the best example that I can show you. This is the new University of Economic and Business in Vienna, where I have a lot of position. I developed a vision. I was the director of the master plan, of the executive project, of the landscape, of some of the buildings, of the garage and underground architecture, and all the communication and surrounding planning and branding. And this is very important because I like to have people in decision making, that understood what they were deciding. That was the reason why the first step was this configurator. This is the first step of our urban menus, to give to all the people that designs an instrument to understand what they're choosing, because the biggest problem is that a lot of people cannot understand what plans means. And it was the possibility to give the mayor, the minister, and all the politic and the society a product that they want, because they were integrated at the beginning and they know what they are doing. And each people put his part in this vision and in the realization with the best super architect like Sarah did, with the highest green building standards, and with the cost of public buildings, to reinvent economy, rethink economy, because the university want to have an open exchange with the society 24/7 each day. And it was our responsibility to give them this with architecture and urban planning. A little bit of city that must be successful at the first day, with restaurants, with a lot of activities, and of course with different levels for each person to study, to learn, to talk, or best practice, like all the staircase in our building that give 30,000 teachers and students a new freedom, sensibility to develop the new economy. And this was possible because paramedic was not a database. Paramedic was information that we took in each moment from the beginning to the last day of the process, because you cannot say, okay, here's the design and now we will think about energy. This is something that you have to do at the beginning. Energy, life cycle, and conception of facades were at the beginning. And architects become a setting, because to develop this little city, in the city with 30,000 people, open day and night, must have different activities to have a target that come and that go, to have exchange with the society day and night. That means freedom, means in this sense safety, activities, light, to develop this place. And the key, the smart key, was to integrate all stakeholders from the beginning, but not asking what I in my job have to do. Integrating in very, very different positions in all the topics that make master planning. And after this project, I thought we can think about this temporary opening of time when we think about future, like we do it as individuals. We can do it as community, because in front of us, each city, each people have a lot of possible futures. And the most important thing is to find new rules to make planning easy and smart, to create spaces for life. How we do it? We propose another kind of process. We don't want all the information to initiate a project in a little crisis circle and then to see how the problems appear in the process. In some cases, as a lose-lose project in the end. We want to integrate the different point of views and the different interests at the beginning, and all the stakeholders can let it grow. And we start with dreams, because like Mario Benedetti say, 5 minutes would be enough to dream an entire life. That's how relative time is. And when I say dreams, is because we start in each situation with a dream about a community future. And this dream of community future, when a group decides in what direction they want to go, could have a lot of configuration, variation, depending from who take the responsibility. We work with density, urbanity, and ecology, and we work with a very complex system of indicators with best practice and algorithms for each scenario to evaluate each dream of each person in the process with these 5 topics: happiness, security, innovation, profitability, and circularity, because we think that we need a level where we are all agree what is wrong or what is fine for us. And of course, in the background, a lot of database is there. In most cases, it's enough with database of best practice to have for each scenario that one stakeholder choose the analysis instant about what happened in these 5 topics, what happened in the relationship between ecosystem, social context, resources, revenue, or the most important thing, to bring this in context to the Sustainable Development Goals fulfillment from the United Nations. And each moment, the major, the investor could say, I want to see how it looks, and take the report. I think, like Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, that our job, your job, is not to prevent the future, is to make it possible. And with our Menus Smart City platform, I invite you now, Bianca will show you what I'm talking about, to be part of this miracle. Bianca?
Yes, I will show you the instrument that Laura just introduced, our web tool. It's called Urban Menus, and it's a tool for participation and for finding consensus between different stakeholders. So when you are developing city districts and projects, you have the safety that all stakeholders agree with the developing. So what you see here on my screen, this is a generic urban setting, but you can see on what you could see on the screen, it's a real town, a real city district, or a real street in different degrees of detail. And as stakeholder in a project, you have the possibility to see this city district, how it looks right now, from different perspectives. So you can walk through it as a pedestrian, or you can switch between different cameras, so you can understand it in each moment how this looks like, and also how could it develop. And then as a user in our tool, you have the possibility to see very different futures for this development for this area. So different users and different stakeholders in a project have very different interests. For example, somebody wants more green areas in a city, somebody else wants to build higher buildings. A third one wants to have more commercial functions. And you can see all of this using our main interests. So I changed one of them right now, which is named ecology. And you see how this city district is changing. So the buildings are here more ecological aligned. There are pedestrian and cycle paths that were created. Public transport is supported. And there is also more space dedicated to nature. If I switch on urbanity, this is strongly linked to social exchange. So there are more places in which you can meet. There is culture, there is leisure, and there is urban life. Also, a third one which you can change is density. And this is focused on profitability and on economic use of the spaces and of buildings. And the goal here is to experiment. So the goal here is to visualize very different combinations for how this city district could develop. Everybody can imagine it directly because they can see the changes. And together with all stakeholders, everybody involved in a process, the community, the city administration, the investors, and so on, to find one possibility which includes the vision of everybody. So a space where all people involved want to live, want to work, want to invest, and want to spend time. And you can do that in lots of perspectives. You can only work, for example, regarding one street to see, do we want for this street to have aquaponics and to be a public space where people can meet with lots of greens? Or do you want for this street to have a public space and build buildings for culture in here? Or do you actually want there to have offices, commercial uses, and a square where an expo is there? And you can talk about it because you see it. But it's not only visualization, what we are offering. It's not only the fact that you can visualize these different options for development. You can also instantly see the analysis of it. So as Laura just introduced, you can see the quantitative analysis, which shows these 5 topics, which are the analysis of which buildings are and spaces are turned on. So you can see which impact does this have on climate change, for example, in circularity. What does it cause damage to climate change or not? But in the same time, you can see how safe this place is. So is it easy to orient them yourself in this space? Does it have enough light? In the same time, you see how profitable is this space. How much does it cost over the entire life cycle? And you can bring transparency to this process because everybody involved also knows the consequences of what they are choosing. The second analysis, the qualitative analysis, which shows the relationship between these 3 parameters. It shows how ecosystem, social context, and resources revenue work with each other, and also the framework of the SDGs. Which is the agenda for sustainable development of the United Nations. And with this, you can better understand how you can find consensus between stakeholders and how to achieve cities that are happier together and more sustainable. Laura, would you add anything else?
Yes, the most important thing is I don't believe that a participation means that you have a project and you have to ask people about what to do, because a lot of people have the responsibility after studying how to do a technique or how to do architecture or landscape, but what brings us together is to talk about future and to talk about life. And when we integrate all the point of views, but of course the point of view of the investor, the developer, the major, and all the people that have to take decision, first, like in grams, perhaps in a little circle, and let it grow. It means that we make developing inclusive for the best possibilities for a city and for a community dream. And I invite you. If you have question, I don't know if we have time, Elisa. I invite you to visit our homepage. I put it in the chat, where you can read about all these points, and you have a demo, a version that you can use without cost. It's free, because I'm convinced that training, education must happen bottom up and up to down. We need to educate all the society with other kind of rules, because the world needs us.
Very much, Laura, for your so important and inspiring experience. Thank you for sharing with us. We are happy to hear you and to see your presentation. We don't have questions now, but I think we can send you these questions after
Of course.
our event.
Then the only thing that I want... the only thing that I want to aggregate is we have now 2 open calls, because I'm sure that smart city or digital city are not only technology. It's more than that. We need person with visions, and we need a lot of creativity and inventions. And we organize now 2 open call, and I invite you to tell about them to your reality. One call is a smart city chief call, because we want to identify majors that have visions for their own cities, and bring together with people that have inventions, that have vision to apply instruments for a better future. And I want to integrate the best minds in this platform, and I invite you all that are here, and you are a lot, to tell this to your friends. And I hope we will have a lot of presentation from Ukraine and the world. Thank you.